Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European Cross-Up webinar. And we are seeing some of the currencies going and pared back a bit here in the euro, to a certain extent, also the cable. Dollar's gone and caught a little bit of a bid, which is a bit of a difference from yesterday, but we did come into some key areas here, and finally we're starting to see it roll over a bit. We also saw silver jump up quite a bit, as well as gold even moved higher. We've come off a little bit in the gold. We got up as high as I think about 1868. We're currently at 1854. Saw a little bit of a quick sell-off right before we came on. Same thing a little bit in silver. Silver came off quite a bit to come all the way down into the 2170s before responding right back to 2217 where we're at right now. So a lot of volatility coming in at this time. We can take a look at where we stand as far as economic data. Nothing on tap until we come into the States and just mortgage approvals. But Canadian CPI comes in at 8:30 Eastern, and monthly home prices at 9 a.m. Eastern, and existing home sales at 10 a.m. Eastern. That'll be it. We are seeing the cash dollar index pick up a little bit here, but we are seeing indices under some pressure. Actually pressing up against the lows again, or pressing down to the lows. Actually, you can see right now with the NASDAQ, it's actually pressing to lows again. Some support here, 10,798. But we've really rolled over quite a bit. As well as on the S&Ps. We did mention about silver coming off quite a bit. Quite a move here. We got up above $23. Now we've fallen as low as 2180 or 2170. I mean, we have really come off quite a bit. 2176. So we saw a huge fall. Gold currently at 1852, still above the Asian highs, but wow, quite the move here. And silver, if you look at it, here we were closing, and then we took off like crazy. 2160, rallied up here to 20, almost 2320, only to come all the way back down and do a full 180, practically down to about what, almost 2178. And here we are starting to slide back again. So very volatile trading right now in silver. But this is a huge move there from 2270 all the way down to 2225. A little bit of pop back up, then all the way down here to 2172 and 2178. So let's go on and move into the NAS. And we're still pressing here, but we're coming into support here, as I mentioned, here in the NAS here, 10,798. Market may try and make a little bit of a stand here. But we are a little bit overdone here. Some additional support here. So let's go and move into the news. Obviously, things have turned around, but nonetheless, Asian currencies cheered by dollar woes. Well, the dollar's turned things a little bit around here. Emerging Asian currencies advanced on Wednesday as unease around the next round of economic stimulus in the U.S. shook the dollar, while concerns about rising coronavirus cases and imminent cuts to corporate dividends dented Singapore stocks. Taiwanese and South Korean won each rose for the fourth straight session. Investors' appetite has improved this week, and Republicans and Democrats are also struggling to keep terms over more fiscal support for the economy. U.S. fiscal negotiations would not be inspiring to anyone to hold capital in the U.S. And while most think we will see a resolution around phase 4 stimulus, we find little progress being made at this juncture. Stock markets across Southeast Asia were mixed, with Singapore the main standout. There are fears that others will follow, and the market expects more difficult dividend cuts across the sectors. And the dollar loses support amid doubts about the U.S. stimulus. Dollar nursed losses against most currencies on Wednesday, undermined by concern that Republicans and Democrats are struggling to reach consensus. The euro traded near its strongest levels in more than a year after European leaders agreed a stimulus plan to fuel recovery from the economic damage caused by the COVID pandemic. You could say the dollar is weaker due to a low risk on move, or due to a risk on move, as weaker. Ironically, the dollar's weakness has been exacerbated by concerns the U.S. is not doing as much as Europeans have on stimulus. Against the British pound, the dollar traded 27.19, close to 6-week low. Republicans and Democrats remain far apart on Tuesday on how much to spend on the next round of coronavirus relief, as he disclosed proposals to extend unemployment insurance for Americans thrown out of work and provide for money for schools. House Speaker Pelosi said that a $1 trillion package the Republicans are considering is not sufficient. The Democratic House Run Representative passed a $3 trillion relief bill 2 months ago that the Republican majority Senate has ignored. Some investors in the dollar may look to existing home sales due later Wednesday. Concerns about disagreement over stimulus. 27-member bloc worked over the weekend to narrow the differences to agree on a $750 billion euro package, recovery fund, and a 1.1 trillion euro budget to help the continent recover from its deepest recession since World War II. With that, we'll move into the analysis. So the euro posted a solid close, challenging the 1542 level. Resistance will be 1568 with weekly level 1557. Support will be 1468. So the euro has paired back some. Remember, we do have that key weekly level there at 1557. Moving on to the cable. The cable took out highs above 2742, closing just a shade lower. Resistance will be 2788 with support at 2678. You can see it right there. And let's just go and move on to the Australian dollar. So the Aussie broke through with a vengeance, tripping stops. Resistance looking out is going to be 71.83. We did make it up to 71.68, so not too far from it, but 71.83. Was supported 70.52. So it's odd because once we finally break out, you can see us starting to weaken a bit here. This would, if we were to close this way, we're a long way from closing, but we're good 12 hours away from closing, more than 12 hours, but that would be a gravestone doji. But we shall see how the rest of the day goes. We're seeing the same situation here in the Kiwi also here. But the Kiwi, like its cousin Aussie, took out stops to a new closing high. Resistance will be 66.91 with support at 65.77. And on to the dollar CAD. So the dollar CAD secured a solid close below 35 with a potential move to 33.82 with support at 34.14. Right now we're seeing a little bit of a turnaround across these currencies. And resistance will be 35.06. So far the low has been, well, actually we came close to that, getting as low as 34.20 yesterday, but the low today's been 34.37. So once again, we're seeing a little bit of a turnaround from what we saw in from yesterday. And on to the dollar peso. So the dollar peso remains weak with initial support at 22.17 and resistance will be 22.54. This has been relatively quiet. And right there, you can see that 22.54. The dollar yen posted a solid close below 107. Support will be 650. And like I said, today we're seeing a little bit of a ease back from the moves we saw yesterday. Just when it looked like you were going to start a whole brand new move, now we kind of come back. But support will be 650 with resistance at 723. And on to the cash dollar index. The dollar index in short order has reached the 95.03 with nary a pause. Support will be 94.77 with resistance at 95.33. Well, we've already come up here to challenge to get up here to 95.36, but 95.33 will be resistance. And support 94.77. And with that, we'll move into the cross rates. Well, we did see the Kiwi yen come up here to this 71.28, and even then we were only looking for 71, but that will be resistance here, which is at 71.28. We're starting to see things ease back a bit, but it hasn't come back that much off. I mean, we'll have 20 some odd pips, but support, if we do get a pullback, maybe this is going to be a pause, we'll come in right there, which will be 70.50. And on to the euro yen. Well, we're still continuing to advance here. And our resistance was going to be 23 even Well, we've continued to make a move up here at this point. So let's see if we have something a little bit more definitive here. Should be 23.56. So resistance will be 23.56. And support would be 22.89. And we have seen the euro odd pair back. And we had our bias chart support at 61.84. They're back above it, but obviously we had pushed even lower. Let's take a look here on the, it's good that the market has been able to reclaim that, but let's take a look if we have something a little bit clear. What else come up with that? Hang on. Right there, if we do pair back, that'd be huge there, which is going to be 61.38. And for now, you're right, there's going to be 62.23. It's really tightened up quite a bit, but we'll go with that just for an immediate resistance for today. And gold has just cracked below 1850. In Asia, we got up as high as about 1867. Let's go on now, move into the Euro Kiwi. So our resistance yesterday was going to be 75.05, really for a push if we were to go much to make a move higher. We're going to go and keep the 75.05, but on the support we had 73.34. We're going to go off of this high right there, which is going to be 73.07. And on to the Aussie Yen. Well, we certainly saw a big break yesterday on this, but we'll stick with this 76.37 for resistance. That was not our resistance yesterday, but I mean, as far as being a key level, our resistance yesterday was 75.78. But as far as this being a level, we'll stay with that, although they did punch up just above that. But 76.37 will be the resistance for today. And support is going to be this high right there, which would be support now, 75.62. And on to the guppy. Well, yesterday we had 36.34. Once again, we just went with the levels. You can see right there. And they got up as high as 36, was it? Looks like 36.44. But we're going to keep this 36.34. But on the support, which we had 35.27, and that's coming off of this. You see this close here, gives us 27. But because we're rotating a little bit lower, let's just give it a little bit more room lower, and we'll go with that high right there, which is 35.06. 35.06 for support. And lastly, with the sterling rod. Well, we've definitely broken lower here. We had 79.28. We've gone and blasted through here lower, and that opens the door for a test down here of 76.79. Now, Aussie's starting to pare back a bit, although so is the pound a bit. But as far as a target, we'll have to go with that 76.79. It may not get there today, tomorrow, but it's certainly a target for them to work towards. So 76.79. It's a level that we mentioned, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, when it looked like we were going to break, and we didn't. And that's how I ended up coming up thinking, okay, let me put this level. So I think it was at least 2 weeks ago, could have been even 3 weeks ago. That's where we came with this level. And resistance now is going to be the previous support, which is 78.60. So that does it for FX. We can just take a quick look at the indices. We did take that dip. Remember we mentioned about that 10,798 here in NASDAQ. And it looks like the low may have been like 10,796. So I guess I only took it out by a couple of ticks. And then we worked up here back towards 20, kind of sliding back. But we had a pretty tumultuous portion here in the European trading. So that's shaking the market a bit and trying to grab a hold of itself. Silver in turn, like I said, boy, what a huge move. I mean, after coming up here, we did rest, but we sat here and then we just broke them hard, very hard down here to 22.20. So a good 50 cent, more than a 50 cent move, and to just rebound about about 15 cents, only to roll back and fall back another 40 cents. And now we've been kind of all over the place here. But silver's really ignited itself. As has gold. When we take a look at gold, we've had a pretty stellar run here. Making it up to about 1867. We've come off $15, but here we were in Asia, so we're still above the Asian from where we opened up in Asia. But we've really gone gangbusters with the metals. And in turn, we've seen the euro come off a bit here. And the euro had actually come into that, not only as a key level, that 1542, but remember we mentioned that, I think it's at the beginning of the week and certainly last week, 1557 is a key weekly level. So the euro's already made a pretty good run towards there. And we kind of backed off a little bit. And in the cable, we have really come off in the cable quite a bit. Yesterday I shared in the chat room, although it held up really well, was at 2742 was a key level. And then we kept on mounting, but now we've broken hard. I mean, we mounted a little bit higher, and now we've broken very, very hard, from those levels. From the levels that we saw at the highs in Asia, we've gone and sold off 100 pips, a little over 100 pips at this point. But that'll do it. We'll get the bias chart posted, and thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar.